Welcome back to Cross-Rutted, the only no-filter moto podcast out there. I'm your host, Eric Nichols, and this week we're going to talk about the madness that happened out at Tampa. But first, let me get my co-host on the line, starting off with Justin. Welcome back, Justin.
What's up, guys? Ready to talk some more moto? What an interesting week we had.
Sure was. Back, missed last week. Zach, welcome back.
Yeah, very upset I missed last week. Got a lot of stuff to say, so hopefully we can ring it in this week. I know that me and CJ are going to go round and round on this one. So
Oh, we got plenty to talk about. And then showing the guns this week, CJ. What's up, CJ?
Not to be mistaken for Mookie. What's up, boys?
All right. Well, let's jump right into it. First things first, like we always do, let's dive into this track layout. We talked about it last week. I think the biggest story of this track was the sand section, like Tampa always has. It definitely threw a wrench in a bunch of things. We had a right-hand turn that caused some problems, but outside those two sections, CJ, it was kind of a basic track. And we'll talk about the lapper problem that we ran into, but if it wasn't for the sand section, I mean, I don't know. This was a pretty basic track.
Yeah, I think the track, other than the sand and the whoops, was kind of boring. I mean, I think the rest of the track nobody really cared about. The cameramen didn't really care about it either. I mean, they didn't really show much of the other part of the track. I mean, it was very basic, straightforward, but boy, did that sand and whoop section have a lot to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And Zach, right hand turn, we saw a few problems, but really maybe not as many as I kind of expected.
no, I figured with the right hand turn, everyone would be bunching up a lot more. But yeah, like CJ pointed out, I mean, other than the sand and the whoops, I mean, that was just eating everyone alive. Factory dudes all the way down to the privateers. I mean, you knew it was going to happen. You know it was going to get deep and gnarly. So, I mean, we watched it play out in full time, and it was interesting to watch. So.
Yeah, and Justin, I mean, we saw right before qualifying, they freaking absolutely drenched the track. Looked like a freaking mud pit out there, but it actually turned out to be pretty good by the end of the day.
Yeah, we saw those videos posted of how muddy it was, and I was like, oh God, this is just going to be swampy and it's going to be shit. But it actually turned out to be really good dirt. It didn't look like it broke down too much. Sand section was definitely a problem. I think the only person that had a problem with that right hand start was Kenny, yelling at Benny Bloss, which I don't even think it was his fault, but he had a lot to say to him after that heat race. I think that's the only person who may have had a problem with that right-handed start.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then, so diving right into it, the big story, going into this weekend, obviously, is the 250 East opener. Jet is out, but going into qualifying, Justin, we'll start with you with the 250s. To me, the biggest thing that stuck out was Fortner qualifying 14th overall. I know all four of us were hot on him, thought that he was going to come in and really kind of put down some heaters, but I mean, 14th overall sounds like he was sick, but. I don't know. I was still expecting more than that.
Yeah, I didn't know he was sick at all. I guess he got it the morning of he posted. He got the flu and was pretty sick, but he still looked like he didn't look good out there. I mean, I think he crashed like three or four times total in qualifying. I know he got taken out by Hardy Munoz in the second qualifying, I believe it was, but not impressed at all by Forkner in the qualifying sessions. Vial very subpar, below the standard he should be. I think he ended up qualifying 10th overall. Hammaker was running really fast. I think that was a shocker for qualifying. I think he was the fastest PC guy, if I remember correctly, in qualifying. At least after the first qualifying, he was.
Yeah, and then Zach, I mean, sitting at the top of the 250s was Anstey Q1. Maybe he is going to be that title, contender. We'll talk about the main here, but I mean, coming out qualifying fastest, first round, that was a statement.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think in the first episode too, if we discussed the 250 East, I didn't say he was going to be a championship contender. I said I would put him up there for some podiums and maybe a race win or two. And honestly, everyone's been making me eat my words all season long this year. So I'm honestly, stoked for the guy, 31 years old. Letting the old dogs eat. I don't know how much longer he can stay in the old 250 class, but he's looking good out there. Even his qualifying, his heat, and his main look like the fastest dude on the track. So he's doing something right. And Forkner, I thought he was going to be one of the guys. Just did not look like he was there at all weekend long. And then also Kitchen didn't qualify good. He didn't race good this weekend. I think we all had him as a hitter on the West Coast. When he went east, I think we kind of all transferred that over, thinking he could, win races and stuff like that, and it's not looking that way. So, kind of interesting to see this first round layout.
Yeah,
Kitchen
and
qualified fifth.
yeah, and with Anstey, he didn't do very well outdoors on the star bike, but I don't know, he's proven that he's a much better Supercross rider than outdoors, as crazy as that is. CJ, going into 450s, man, were there some headlines? Sexton, Captain Qualifier, Q1, Malcolm Q3. Obviously, the biggest story was Eli's injury, dabbing that foot, twisting his knee, whatever they want to call it. But man, we were worried there for a bit.
Yeah, I mean that's tough to see. I mean, I think all of us are watching race day live, and they're showing Sexton go on a heater, and Mookie go on a heater, and this guy go on a heater, and then we all saw Eli on a heater, and he had a lapper there in front of him. Not that it was a lapper's fault or whatever you want to call it, lapper in practice, but slower guy in front of him, and yeah, he dabs that foot, and I mean it's reminiscent of what happened with his Achilles or Jet last week, or I don't know. I mean, he pulled immediately off the track. Did not look like he was a very happy camper. I don't know. It's still hard to say what to think about that. I mean, it's tough. It sucks. I hate these. We talked about it, but I hate these like consolidation type years like this where we get all amped up at the beginning of the year to see the best of the best bang it out, and then we're left. Not that it's Sexton's fault, not that it's Cooper Webb's fault. I mean, props to them for being the guys that are still hanging around, but as a fan, it sucks to see and it sucks for Sexton and them too, I'm sure. I mean, everyone can talk about Sexton's title and the asterisk next to it or not, or whatever you want to talk about with Eli, going out with his Achilles last year. And I'm sure it's got to bum him out too. I'm sure he doesn't want to win this way. And he knows it. I'm sure in the back of his head, at the end of the day, he don't care. He's going to go win and he's going to win and do what he's going to do. But I'm sure that these guys want to beat the best in the world, and he wants to have one of those titles that doesn't have an asterisk next to it, or anything that people can say about it. So it sucks. It sucks as a fan to see. It sucks to see, especially with talks of Eli retiring. That was that the last that we see of Eli? It could very well be the last that we ever see Eli. Depending on what happens with his leg. Yeah, he says that he wants to line up and this and that, but they find out something seriously wrong with his leg. That could be it.
Yeah, and the worst part about both these injuries with Jet is that they're non-contact, right? I mean, neither one of them hit the deck. They just dab their foot, which they do 100 times, and then it just catches them wrong, and that's it. But yeah, I mean, it was a huge bummer. And it kind of, we'll get into it, but kind of goes back into the whole, betting on this sport, right? By the time the night show came around, Yamaha posted, "Oh yeah, he's fine, he's good to go," not knowing what's going on. And then same thing with Forkner. Had no idea Forkner was sick coming into this. Someone could have easily bet money on him to win, or Tomac. I know a lot of us were high on Tomac coming back and winning, and not knowing what their status is going into the night show. Most of the betting, I think, stops those qualifying gets going too. So it just makes it hard to bet on the sport with confidence, not knowing, how these guys are actually feeling. Before we go into the best hit nominations, anything else in qualifying really stand out to anyone?
Cooper Webb second. I think if Cooper starts qualifying, that top three, people better watch out because I think it's shocking to see Cooper at the top of the leaderboard for qualifying. He's not known to be up there. Cooper's just that kind of he's ready at race time. That's when Coop's gonna show his speed. It's normally not during qualifying at all. Mookie another surprise kind of just because he hasn't really had a great year. Hunter was fourth, J Coop fifth. So some of those, B-level guys kind of stepped it up this week. Running, putting in some fast lap times in qualifying. Kenny again with like a ninth place qualifying. Kenny hasn't qualified great, it seems like, this year at all. And, we got Barsha 10th, I think. I think AP, I don't know when AP is going to show up, but he's just been bad this year. 14th
2022.
qualifying.
Yeah, and Webb, I mean, He was what? He qualified third fastest at Glendale. That was a wide open fast track with some hitters, and then come back here. This track was tailor made for him. I know we talked about it. Being able to, cut these corners down and getting it really running. But maybe he is found his speed and he's going to go out there and put some heaters. But we all talk about this, qualifying is one thing, but can you, make it show up, in the main event when it matters? And, we'll talk about that. As far as the best kit nominations for me, there were a few that really stood out. Hymus, we said it before, you give me an all red kit head to toe, it's going to be up there. Hunter has some flash. He had a pink kit going. But Justin, I know you saw a few. I think one was a KTM. It was like a 110 racing kit that looked pretty good too.
Yeah, I believe it's Dirt Bike Depot's team they put together for this year for 250 East. I thought it was kind of cool. I mean, from the bike translating from the boots all the way up, I think that gear just looked really clean. I haven't really seen much of that 110 gear, but I just thought the concept was really cool. Like you said, Hymus's gear was cool. Tomac's, the red, white, and blue. It's hard to, go against a nice, clean cut red, white, and blue gear. I think it was Mumphy had a cool one too. That fly gear looked really good. So there's some pretty good kits this weekend.
Yeah, no, and then Zach Star's kit actually looked pretty good from afar, but the closer you got to it, I don't know. I started changing my mind on it a little bit.
Yeah,
I
I
called
mean,
it the mint chocolate chip.
yeah, that
Yeah.
I
On a waffle
dig the
cone.
colorway for sure. But I definitely like it more like the like you said, the closer up you get to it, it's got a little too much going on. Um, from afar with that, just being the kind of tan and teal, I actually liked it. I think it looked pretty solid. Um, to be honest, though, I think Fly's been growing on me quite a bit this year. Cooper Webb's kit's been solid. That black and gray that he had this weekend, and then the flat blue that he had last weekend, the helmet matching the jersey and pants, and then different colored boots. I think it looks sick, dude. I think Fly's been killing it this year. But yeah, other than that, I mean, nothing really stood out too much to me other than that Thor gear from Star, which don't hate it, but I wouldn't say it's lit kit.
I I like
Fly has
the
a. Oh, good.
Go ahead, CJ.
I like the only, and it's only on a Husqvarna. I'm not a big fan of black gear, like really ever.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like RJ and even Mookie this weekend. But RJ, I think when he runs that all black gear with that little rock star that pops out on there, I think that looks good on a white bike. I'm not a big fan of a white bike, and I'm not a big fan of black gear. But when they go together, I think it looks pretty good. I think it's the big contrast that kind of gives a little bit of a pop.
Yeah, I actually thought the same thing, but I was hoping I want to see it with the black boots too. I want to see
Yeah.
black head to toe. The white boots. I'm a big fan of white boots, but it kind of like threw it off or stood out a little too much. I want to see that thing, black head to toe. And I think that look, really good. But
TJ,
all right.
did you see have you guys seen Barsh's gear? I think with Troy Lee having that Rockstar, they did like a pretty much all black kit, and I thought it looked pretty good. And I was kind of thinking that looking at Barsh's helmet the other day, like the way that he painted it, it's like all black, but then with that Rockstar logo on there, it just pops and looks really good. I think that gold, yellow on black looks pretty good.
To be honest, I don't think I saw Barsha on the screen all weekend.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah. I just saw it on Instagram.
All right. All right. So those are our best kit nominations. Let's jump right into it. Our 250 heat. CJ, we'll start off with you. RJ and Anstey, get out there, get the wins. But Anstey kind of got it gifted to him. Brown was leading, but to me, get that red flag, that stagger start. Brown gave up two positions within the first two turns, and I'm just like, you can't let that happen.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, we had multiple red flags, so I'm trying to remember exactly which one was which. But yeah, I mean, there was some interesting, and the way that the red flag was set up at that track was weird too. I mean, they were like the front guy kind of had no room to do anything, and he's diving into a right hand corner, and then the guy it's almost like the guys behind him had a better run going into that first corner. It was weird. I don't know. It was unfortunate to have red flags, and it's just a weird deal every time. But I thought that I felt like the guy in the front was almost at a disadvantage. The way that he was going into that right hander like that, it was weird. But yeah, I don't know. I thought Pierce Brown looked really good. I thought Cameron McAdoo looked really good. I was impressed with Cameron McAdoo. I thought that he showed that he was fast. It was a really weird track. I don't really know how much I can take away from this track with these 250Fs. I mean, half of them look like they were trying to survive. You got champions from just last year. They won titles, and they literally looked like they were squirrely as shit sea riders. I mean, you got Faulkner out there, you got Hampshire out there that are going zigzagging back and forth across the track. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to really base too much off of what I saw in the 250 class. Like, I don't know. I felt like it was really weird seeing so many people on the ground. I thought Faulkner looked. I mean, yeah, he was sick, so I don't know. Maybe he comes back and he's the Faulkner we all thought that he was before, but I thought he looked horrendous. They were showing him on a couple
Mhm.
feeder laps. I mean, he looked like I mean, he couldn't do anything on that bike. And for some reason, I don't know if it's the black bike and the neon gear that makes him look big, but to me, he looked like he was fucking giant on that bike. It looked like he could pick that bike up and run through the sand. It was kind of crazy looking to me. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to really say looking at that track. But I don't know. I was impressed with McAdoo, Anstey, Pierce Brown looked good. I mean, all the Star Boys looked good. They've obviously got something going on at the goat farm. But yeah, I don't know. It's a weird deal with that sand.
Yeah, and Zach, with the 250 East, I mean, there are a lot of like RJ, he's not 100%. McAdoo, he's riding with a torn ACL. Faulkner's out there sick. It's hard to kind of gauge, is Pierce Brown, is Anstey, are they really this good, or is it just their top competitors are riding at around 80%?
When what I saw from Anstey is he made the pass on Brown in a seat race, correct? And then
After the red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brown was up 8 seconds before that red flag. Brown was gone.
Well, okay, so after the red flag, he passes him in the heat race. He
Mhm.
was gonna pass him. It looked like from one of the angles I saw, it looked like Anstey was flying through the whoops. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I think he was one of the fastest dudes in the whoops this weekend in the 250 class.
I mean, Brown was quick through the whoops.
But from one of the angles that I saw before Brown crashed, it looked like Anstey was gonna make a, or possibly close to making a pass on him in that.
He was
corner,
closing in for sure.
which is where I saw a lot of passes be made this weekend. I think with the 250 class, that what we saw is unless you were up front, trying to get through the pack, for say RJ Vial, trying to get through the pack with guys like CJ said, going left, going right, everywhere else. Like look what happened to Roxon. The track was so gnarly this weekend that really, like, unless you were up front and getting away from everyone, kind of looked like you were slow. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see next weekend. But I think Anstey looked good. Bennick, I told you guys at the beginning of the season, I said Bennick would be pretty solid, and you guys said, what'd you say? He'll be on a club bike next year? Yeah, he looked pretty good this weekend. So y'all.
He wasn't great in his heat though. So yeah, his heat wasn't good. He was sick. He didn't look great in his heat.
I don't give a shit. He got second place.
Yeah.
He didn't get passed by anyone. He had McAdoo and Hammaker behind him. And I think a lot of it, like especially McAdoo, is getting through these first couple rounds. He's in a good third spot. It's a tough track, and he's in it for the long game. Like he said, he's looking for championships, not a couple race wins. With that torn ACL, you can only push it through the season so long. So,
Tell you what, Justin, one of the sickest lines I saw during the heat race, and of course, this heat race #1 was McAdoo had this line through the sand to where he was completely clearing that hump, like in the middle of it, and he made up so much time doing it. But that was it. You had to do in that first heat. Even RJ talked about that they made the sand a lot more peaky, and he almost ended his night because he clipped it. But I mean, McAdoo being able to hop completely over that thing was really fast. But yeah, what about you? Anything else stand out to you as far as these heats?
Yeah, those heats, it looked like that first heat, Hampshire, it almost looked like he was right back in the championship form. I mean, he was flying. McAdoo looked very comfy for having a torn ACL. I mean, you couldn't even tell. If you didn't know he had a torn ACL, you would have no clue at all. He looked really good. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I think it was heat 2. Yeah, heat 2. Brown, I think he was gone. He had 8 seconds with like 3 minutes left in the heat, and to do that in 250 class, with Anstey behind you, that was impressive. Unfortunate, he blew that restart. Mumphy punked him in that second corner, and I was shocked to see Mumphy make a move like that. I'm interested to see what Mumphy does do this year. I haven't really heard anything about him. I forgot he was even racing still. Someone was curious to see what Mumphy does healthy because he showed, at least some top 10 flash the last, year or so. So it'd be interesting, but not much really taken out
What
of the
what
heats
did he get
besides
in the main?
that.
10th.
Yeah, I think he got 10th.
Yeah.
I had one other quick point I forgot to touch on was just huge shout out to Cullen Park. I thought Cullen Park
Mhm.
looked sick. He came from B practice, waxed B practice, looked like he was in a different fucking area code. I think he qualified top 10 overall. And he looked like he was riding with the big boys in his heat too. He went straight into the main. We could talk about the main, but he looked good
Yep.
all night. Shout out Cullen Park. He will not be in B practice anymore. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he's on
no.
that firepower, or not firepower, but quad block. I think he's Mumphy's teammate this year.
Yeah, no,
He's got a good bike.
definitely some interesting heats. They're like you said, Mumphy, running it in on Pierce Brown. I think Faulkner, I think he got ran pushed high, a couple of times too. He saved it though, but yeah, I mean these guys came out swinging. 450 heats. We'll jump into that. Webb and Sexton go out and win. You know, no surprise there. Unfortunately, Tomac was out there, but you could tell right away that it wasn't going to be a good night. I think he ended up finishing eighth, was able to sneak it in there. And then CJ Hunter ends up going down, right before the finish line. Didn't really look like that big of a wreck there, but I mean, those were the things that stood out to me as far as these 450 heats.
Yeah, I mean, I think seeing Tomac limp around trying to find his gate was just not a promising sight. He squeaked in the main right there in front of like Tristan Lane and Justin Starling. I think he almost got lapped in his heat, and then yeah, I mean AP was surprising. He's like 8 feet tall, so running through that sand doesn't really surprise me. I thought he was going to be good all night with that super deep sand. I mean, him, Bloss, anyone with fucking ostrich legs like that, I would think should do good through that super deep sand. But yeah, I don't know. Wasn't a lot going on. Hunter's crash was odd. It almost seemed like he maybe hit his head. Like when he stood up, he kind of seemed like he maybe bobbled. I don't know if he tripped or if he bobbled or whatever it was. The medics made some motions like, hey, this dude's not kind of all there. So I don't know. I didn't even really see a report. Did they say what was wrong with him?
I thought it was his shoulder. I think they
I
announced
think it
on
was
it.
yeah, I think it was his shoulder, but I saw him. They had like that foam neck brace on him. So I
That's
wonder
hard
if
to
like the
do.
way I think the way he slammed into the finish line. I wonder if they're concerned maybe something neck.
It
Yeah,
was
it looked like he was a little bit like wobbly when he got up, but I don't know. I mean, it's unfortunate for Honda. I mean, right now they've got fucking all their eggs in Hymas basket, and he's been riding for 2.5 days.
Hey, don't forget about Shimoda and his one handguard, all right? That's the biggest
Oh yeah,
story in Moto right now.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, Zach, I mean, there's rumors, give Justin Hill the HRC bike, put him out there. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah, but dude, he's got a good thing going with that Tedder KTM. I mean, to swap to a completely different platform, I think it just hurts him in the long run. Because honestly, they're not gonna give him that bike for another year to come or anything like that.
Hmm.
So, if I don't know me, obviously I've never been anywhere in the dirt bike community or racing or anything like that, but I would probably stick with Tedder KTM if I was him.
Especially with the chassis, different chassis material too. So that would probably plays a big factor on the suspension setup
Yeah,
or
I mean,
Supercross setup.
but the heat races, I mean, nothing really stood out to me, anything insane. The only weird thing to me is when Lawrence went down, they let him stand up and he like kind of walked around for a little bit, and then they show him in the cart with the neck brace on. I'm like, kind of odd that they would let him get up if they're gonna neck brace him. I don't know. It's just a little weird, but I mean, people have been crashing all over the place, so. But nothing really in the heats other than Tomac, CJ said, Tomac walking around trying to find his gates, heartbreaking looking, heartbreaking looking at him like that.
Hmm.
So I mean, just yeah.
Yeah, and then Justin, I know we already touched up on it, but Roxon, having some first turn trouble, getting in the face of a Benny, even though, it was Freckle that did it, but it could have been Jay Coop that took him out. And there's that viral video of the camera guy falling and Roxon hot ripped over the fucking tough block.
Hey, I give
But
mad props to Kenny though for going up to Bloss fucking up staring at his belly button, trying to fucking yell at him, dude. That was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that was crazy.
CJ is one of CJ's favorite riders. Actually, qualified ahead of Tomac in the heat. Justin Starling. We
Oh
know how
yeah,
much CJ loves
Yeah.
him.
he just like
Yeah.
he just complains a lot, but hey, he made the main.
Yeah,
Surprising.
home race. He made it happen. But all right, as far as heats, I mean, really, I think that was it. Jumping over to the LCQs, the only thing that really stood out to me, of course, is Hunter was a no show. Ends up missing the main event. That was a bit surprising. But I mean, other than that, Justin, anything LCQ that stood out?
No, not really. I think it was Jerry Robin. Wasn't he leading it and then he fell?
Yeah, that was an
So
Mhm.
it
awesome
was
call
it was
by
it was
awesome
funny.
call by RC.
Yeah, I
Jerry
think it was.
Robbins in the lead. Jerry Robbins down.
Yeah, I think Polk tweeted that or Racer X tweeted that too as well. They were like, he's in the lead and he was down. So
I saw
that's
even
funny.
Jerry Robin even he commented on that tweet and was like, hate to see it. So he's a at least he's all stoked on it too. But that was funny, man. It was like immediately as they said it, he hit the deck.
Yeah,
That's
Chisholm
fun.
qualified for another main. Chiz is gonna Chiz in his final season, his hometown race as well. So it's cool to see Chiz on all those boys out there.
Yeah, Zach, how about you? Anything LCQ wise that stood out?
No, to be honest, I mean, I'll be completely honest. I don't think I watched much of it. Doing other stuff, but no, nothing really. I mean, I don't think any big names were in the LCQs, were they?
Oldenburg, I thought Oldenburg surprisingly, I thought Oldenburg looked terrible.
Yeah, but Oldenburg
Until
came to the LCQ every single weekend this
yeah.
year, right?
But it was weird. I thought Oldenburg looked terrible in practice and terrible in his heat. He looked terrible in his heat race. And then he looked great in the LCQ. I don't know if it was just the competition he was up against or what, but he ran away with the LCQ. He even had to make passes. I thought he looked good in the LCQ, but he looked terrible up until the LCQ. But yeah, he's been in every single LCQ.
Yeah, that's what I thought I heard that comment that he went through every single LCQ this weekend. But I mean, to be honest, I mean, even going through all the LCQs, he's right around like 12th to 15th place pretty regularly.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yep.
mean,
Yeah, somewhere around there.
just pick his heat races up. He ain't got to ride that many laps.
Yeah, maybe he needs a track time.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to get that beta a
Getting
little
that
bit
squared away or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else LCQ? Or do you think we kind of touched up on everything?
No, yeah, I mean it wasn't too exciting. It was pretty spread out and squirrely fucking C-class mess it looked like in that sand.
Oh yeah. All right, here we go. Into the 250 main events. Man, there's a lot of stories. Everywhere in here. Brown looked great. Really bad crash. Sounds like he broke his T5 vertebrae. Anstey gets the win. Zach's proud. Bennett got the second. But I mean, we can keep going. But I mean, CJ, you kind of touched up on it. RJ, weird crash with that round. Tough luck. He ended up getting stuck on it, and that was his night. But I mean, he was ripping. I would have been curious to see how he was going to finish there.
That was bullshit. Those fucking flying saucer things that they have out there are a joke. Like what the fuck? Put a tough block in there. Why I don't know. A guy shouldn't have to be worried about running a 6 inches inside and his bike. It was like it's stuck to it. It's like his bike
Yeah,
melted to it.
yeah.
I mean, it ruined his whole race after that. And then they restarted, and he
Was a
went a
lap
lap down
down.
again. So he must have crashed again. I mean, he just had a tough night. For me, I mean, props to Anstey, props to Bennick. Honestly, the guys that finished, I think maybe at the end of the season, this may be a race that we look back on and say this made the difference for some of these guys. Maybe not the championship, but some of these guys that finished. Maybe this is the difference in Bennick finishing fourth this season because he was up front in this sand race. But like I said, I can't really. I want to see them on a track that is not this mess. Like they struggled to get those 250Fs around that track. I mean, we saw the list of names that are at the bottom with Brown
Hmm.
and Kitchen and RJ and I mean it was wild. I mean just those guys that survived. I don't know. I didn't really love to see. It's tough to see see the East start like that. I mean, it shook things up for sure. I mean, we're gonna see we're gonna see some stuff get fucking some feathers ruffled. I think these guys are going to be under pressure. RJ is going to be. He's already 18 points back or something already. Um,
21.
yeah, I mean it's going to be tough for some of these. Unfortunate to see what happened to Brown. It was weird. I don't know. Like seeing the crash on TV. I saw some replays and stuff that people had got from the crowd. I mean, he definitely hit the ground hard, but it didn't seem like he was like didn't seem like it was like break your neck hard. But I mean, shit, he had emergency surgery that same night or next morning or whatever, and sounds like he's back on the mend. But that's always tough to see, especially when you're running out front. But yeah, I don't know. It was another one of those weird ass restarts too, where I felt like who was it? Vial looked like he like tried to pass somebody before he even got to the line because they like slowed down. It was just a weird that restart. I mean, I know that they don't plan these tracks for a restart, but I feel like nobody thought about what was going on there. Like they were going right into a right hander. You're either taking your foot off the brake or I don't know. It seemed like it was a really weird setup for the red flag situation. Like we saw Pierce Brown get passed by like three guys in his heat race on the red flag. We saw Vial trying to pass people before he got to the line. It was weird.
Yeah, and Zach, you weren't on the show last week, but honestly, this is exactly what we thought was going to happen, right? We looked at all these names in the 250 East who said multiple guys are going to hit the deck. We're going to lose title contenders this first round. And looking at RJ 21 back, Forkner 20 back, Levi 12 back. I mean, can't say we were surprised with these names. We had a feeling these guys were going to hit the deck, and that's exactly what we got.
No, for sure. I mean, it's a stat class no matter how you look at it. But the RJ thing, I think even like CJ, if there is just a tough block there, he hits that tough block the way he landed on top of that saucer, he's going down either way. He's not going to get
Yeah.
stuck there for 45 minutes trying to get his bike stuck. But I mean, either way, he's going to crash, lose some points. You can't. I mean, obviously, it's not statistically awesome, but Vial won a championship last year and he finished 18th in that first round. So that's something you can look at and say, hey, but I don't think the East Coast was as stacked as the East Coast is this year. One of the things that surprised me is Thrasher. We're like that dude's so like to me he's so unlikable. I don't know what he is, but you're like year 3, year 4?
Like year 5, it seems
Yeah,
like.
and just dude looked like nothing compared to his teammates. So I think like a lot of it this weekend was just trying to survive. Obviously, the track conditions weren't stellar for a 250F, but yeah, I think I don't know what the hell was going on with Kitchen. He surprised me with just kind of cruising around, not cruising around, but like just didn't look up to par with the other guys. So yeah, I don't know. And Brown, I think Brown's super fast, but he hits the deck every year. So it's not I don't want to be mean, but it's not a fucking surprise that he ate shit. So I don't know. There's just a lot of names and a lot of crashes this weekend. So kind of interested next weekend to see what happens, how it kind of plays out. Like CJ said, RJ's got to come out swinging. Vial, he's got to make a statement. Neither of those dudes got on the box. 2 defending champions back to back, and yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think we're gonna see some bar banging in the East Coast, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Thrasher, I mean, Park beat him, right? 7th.
Yeah,
Privateer shouldn't be beating a factory guy on a 250,
yeah,
in this class. But shout out to Park, CJ said, he looked great all day long. Bennett, kind of saved. I know he got second, but I don't really remember seeing him. Like I saw him up on the board. I'm just like, hey, solid ride there. Um, Maximus Volan gets a DNF. I thought they said on the broadcast that it had something to do with that handbrake thing. Something failed. I don't know, Justin. I heard some that it had nothing to do with it. But, going back on that Bennett thing, yeah, he got second, but he got penalized 5 points, so you really ended up with a 4. So that sucks. Kind of takes the win out of those sales.
Yeah, I mean, Bennett last year started up on the podium and then he kind of faded back. I think this is a result of some crashes and stuff like that. I think if RJ, Forkner, Brown doesn't go down, like I don't see Bennett up there. I just see those guys getting pretty much by him. It'd be interesting, like Zach said. His first race is usually always a shit show, so it'd be nice to see on a little bit of a better track next week. Yeah, it was just very. You guys all said that shit's gonna happen. So a couple people are gonna go down. I said last week I thought Brown was gonna get like 2 wins and a consistent podium guy, and shit, I was stoked. First heat, I mean, he was gone, and then main event, I was like, oh, here we go. Brown finally clicked it, and the next thing I look, Brown's dead like a floppy fish in between two whoops, and it's unfortunate, but like Zach said, it just seems like Brown finds the dirt in Supercross. Outdoors, he can kind of get his way through, but Supercross, he just finds a way to get hurt one way or the other. Max Anstey, uh, I don't know if anyone remembered last year he won the first race as well, and then he was the points leader until he had a DNF due to a bike blowing up. So it'd be interesting to see if Anstey can be consistent throughout the year and hold up, get good starts and stay up front. I think RJ is definitely going to ruffle some feathers being this far back. We know RJ is not scared to take anyone out, and I think RJ is going to come on for some front wheels. Kitchen, a disappointment. He struggled through that sand all day. And Fortner, yeah, I mean Fortner was just trash. It seemed like.
I think one of the big things with RJ especially though is he's like a notoriously bad starter. He comes to the pack a
Yeah,
lot, and it's gonna be tough to do this East Coast with how many dudes are there. I mean, granted, he's probably faster than a lot of these guys, but you're coming through the pack, he ain't gonna go from 12th place to first place. I just don't see it happening. So he's got to figure those starts out on that Husky.
CJ, interesting stat thing here. Okay, we finally got to see this 250 East class, but maybe it was a track, but I did not have that wow, holy shit, these guys are railing like I had in the West Coast seeing Juju and Deegan, those qualifiers. They looked like they were hauling ass, and maybe it was this track, maybe it was just tight, but to me, no one really popped off the screen as far as 250 East, as far as damn, that guy is hauling ass.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it was the track. I mean, even the 450s didn't look like they were going very fast. I thought to me there was only two 250 guys to me that looked good on the track, and it was Anstey and McAdoo. I thought that they looked like they were moving around the track at a decent pace. They were going through the sand at a decent pace. I thought the rest of the guys looked like they were trying to paddle their way out of the sand to get to the hard pack part of the track, and then paddle their way back around the sand again, bobble through the whoops. Anstey looked really good through the whoops. McAdoo looked decent through the whoops, but he looked great through the sand. He looked like he was settled in on the bike. I don't I it's hard for me to think that with that many good guys, I mean, two champions looking the way that they did, I think a lot of it is chalked up to the track just
Hmm.
being. I mean, that sand you saw like when Kitchen crashed in practice, and some of the other guys, that sand looked like it was fucking gnarly deep. Like it looked like it was like bury your bike and good luck. Someone bring out the tractor to get me out of here type shit. Like it looked nasty. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I'll be interested to see. I just don't think that I don't think Deegan or Julian would have went around that track any more impressively to
Hey,
me.
but didn't Deegan win Tampa last year? In the rain,
I
there's
don't know.
that iconic photo of him crossing the finish line, clenching his fist, and it's raining. I mean, I'm pretty sure he won there, didn't he, Justin?
I'm not sure he might have, but I mean, a rain race is going to make that sand a hell of a lot easier to get through. This sand this week, I mean, it seemed it was so deep. It was just grabbing people's foot pegs, it almost seemed like, and was yanking them left or right. I mean, you saw it multiple times. Like CJ said, Forkner was just going down the right side, and all of a sudden he's laying on a tough block because he just went directly right. It's kind of, a little early, but what happened to Kenny, I mean, Kenny was going and went left and, collided, and then we had a shit show going on.
I
So
wonder what
that's
the
stand.
I wonder
Good.
what the riders thought. Like it would have been nice to. I didn't really hear much from the riders. Like I think the 450s had a way, but I mean sometimes these 250s are faster than the 450s on the Supercross track. I think this was a track where like you want to be on a 450, you want to be on a fucking 500 at that track.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you were at a massive disadvantage being on a 250F. I don't care who's building the motor in it. But I'd be interested to see what the riders thought of the track, if they just hated it or what the thought process was.
What do you,
How many people do you think? I didn't see anyone running a paddle tire. I was
I
kind
didn't
of
see any.
surprised,
Yeah,
but
Mm-mm.
then thinking about it, like it seemed like because I wonder if it's because they watered so much that at the main events it was slippery everywhere besides the sand. It seemed like those whoops were very slippery. People's back ends were starting to slide out, towards those last couple of whoops. So I wonder if that was the deciding factor on not to run a paddle. Because if it was like a typical East Coast deep, super ruddy, like they normally are, because that softer dirt with that sand, you'd almost think they'd want to run a paddle, but it had to be because it had to be slick out there with all that water they put on.
Yeah, I mean, I know a couple of the riders. They said that the whoops are basically concrete by the end of the night, so maybe that's what it was. Maybe the track just got absolutely hammered. To me, I don't think any of the riders like the sand. You know, you always talk about, sand doesn't belong in Supercross, but to me, we talked about it. Without the sand, that track is boring. It's one line, and the racing would have sucked, right? So it's honestly Tampa and Daytona are the ones that really have legit sand, and I don't mind it. I think it just kind of throws another wrench, and it is a separator, right? I mean, we saw Eli, take advantage of the sand in San Diego. We saw it play a factor in Glendale. This one is a factor. This weekend there's another sand corner in there. To me, I'm just like, whatever. Leave it in there. If they're gonna take out Whoops, they're gonna take out Dragon's Back, then leave the sand in there to make it a little bit different, and it has made a difference, Zach.
No, for sure. I think it's definitely something that it's you gotta you can't like prepare for it because it's just a section of it. But I mean, like it is a factor that some guys excel in it, and some guys just look like my child out there trying to get through the sand section. You know what I mean? So I don't mind it per se. I thought the sand section in Glendale was badass. That big sweeping corner. Tomac looked fucking sick going through there. This sand this weekend was just gnarly. I mean, that shit was deep. It was rutted. It was I I wouldn't have had fun going through it. So I mean, I'm sure those guys don't love it, but I mean, as a spectator, it is definitely something that throws a wrench in there, and guys got to get through it. So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, no, and in the 250s, I don't think the sand really had any chaos like the 450s, and we'll jump into it. But let's get into the 250 title talk. Justin, all right, we talked about it. RJ is 21 points back, Forkner 20 back, Levi 12 back. Right now after watching this, who is your title favorite?
Honestly, I don't really know if I really got one right now because it's so up in the air. I think just, kind of the shit show of the first week. I think I got to more see what happens next week, see, you always have the first race nerves. There was just so much variety this week. And like we're talking, the track seemed very basic, almost like it was a test track, test track. It was just, one line, pretty simple rhythms, no huge flaw, our first few races, we've almost had a quad, I think, at every single race. I don't even know
Hmm.
if there was one this week. So it just seems super basic for the first round. And I mean, we all picked Fortner for our title, and now it's kind of really going to be tough for
Mm-mm.
them to come. Well, three of us did,
But no,
but
I'm with you. I don't see it. I'm out on Forkner now. Like, I
yeah,
get it, he's
I
sick,
think it's
but
going to be tough. I mean, yeah, I just think it's really good. This title is going to come to consistency. I think this is going to be a last two rounds. Whoever can close out and come up clutch in those last two rounds is going to win this title. You got to limit the mistakes. RJ's down a lot. I don't know if RJ's going to be able to make up 21 points because I mean he's got to almost win out right now, and he's or hope Anstey's bike blows up or something because 21, you're almost a full race down.
yeah, yeah. Zach, how about you? Who do you got for your 250 East title after
Well,
Tampa?
I still think that Vial. I said at the beginning, I think he gets it done, but I mean, with a fifth place, it's not a horrible start to the championship. I mean, such a stat class, he can throw a couple wins in. You see Anstey get a third and a fourth, and he's right back in that fight. So I think for me, Vial's still kind of my favorite. But I think McAdoo, has a solid shot if he keeps riding the way he looked this weekend, and then Anstey as well. So I think for me, RJ is too far back
Hmm.
for going forward, and he doesn't start well enough that from what I've seen to put him up there for it. So
Vial had a quiet fifth. I didn't realize he was fifth. That's kind of a quiet fifth with all. I think it's because so much was happening. But for him to get fifth, I guess that's pretty good just to salvage first round of top five. I mean, I didn't think he was. I thought he was like eighth, honestly, until I looked at the results today. I was
yeah,
like, damn, he got fifth. So he looked good during some of the not qualifying, but press day.
Yeah. How about you, CJ? 250 East. Anyone
Um,
stand out to you for the title?
I mean, honestly, I really like what I saw at RJ. I think if Anstey was out of that top 8 list, I think RJ can come back. I don't think RJ can put 21 points on Max Anstey. I think we see a 31-year seasoned veteran that's not going to go out there and make any crazy mistakes. He's on a really good bike. Um, I think Anstey gets it done. I think 31-year-old Anstey gets a title, and I think that he's gonna fucking shock all these little punk ass kids. I think RJ goes and I think RJ has the most wins on the East Coast. I don't think he can make up a 21 point difference though. I think if Anstey was not up there in the top 8, if the top 8 doesn't didn't impress me. I mean Vial, that quiet fit, that's pretty good. I do give it to Vial, that's a good finish. But other than that, McAdoo, it's hard to put any weight on McAdoo. We've all seen the highlight clips of every single type of crash and fucking brain blowout you can imagine from
Well,
that
he's got a
guy.
torn ACL.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know, like,
how long can he even ride? He may not even line up next weekend.
mm.
Like one little hiccup, his knee may blow all the way out. Like we don't know. It's hard for me to really put anything on McAdoo. He looked great this weekend. But yeah, I mean, he's offering up to the field. Like I've got a torn ACL. I don't know that I would have given that knowledge to any of the other riders personally. I would have kept that in my back pocket. My team can know about it. I'm not telling no motherfucker that I'm racing against that my knee's messed up. Um, that's my 2 cents. Like I don't really understand that. I don't really. You're gonna tell this guy that you're racing for your livelihood that you have weaknesses. I don't know. I'm not really about it. Cool on him. I mean, it's a cool storyline, but I don't know. I'm keeping that in my back pocket and not making a target on my kneecap. But I think Anstey gets it done. I don't think RJ can. I don't think RJ can make up a 21 point gap.
So
Yeah.
CJ, I just looked up Anstey's. So last year Anstey had the points lead, and then he had his bike blow up, but he only had 3 top 5s last year. He went 2, 6, 8, 21, 13, 5, 7,
That was
1, and then
also
a
a
16.
privateer effort,
Yeah, I was
though.
gonna
I
say he wasn't
mean,
on a Star Yamaha.
He
Yeah, I
looks
get
good.
that, but yeah, he's got to be consistent. He can't
Oh, he'll be.
be,
I think he's consistent.
struggling.
I don't think that's Anstey's only win. I don't think that's Anstey's only win. I think we see him
I
on the
can agree with
box.
that.
I think we see him on the box regularly. Um, I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to podium every weekend, but I think he's got a big fucking gap over these competitors. With only a few races, obviously these East West shootouts are going to mix things up, and guys are going to have bad races. But what I saw at Anstey, I mean, he looked cool, calm, collected. He looked like he had a handle on that bike. I think he's on the best 250F that there is right now. I don't know. I think he's disciplined. I mean, he's got the skill. He's fast. We saw it on that Honda that he was on. I mean, he's got the speed to do it. And I think these guys gave him way too many points.
yeah, I'm with you. I think, honestly, I think it went perfect for Max Anstey. This is exactly what he needed. RJ, out. Anstey has a 5 point lead because of Bennett getting docked those points. So he
Yeah.
even got an extra little bump. Cameron McAdoo, yeah, he's ripping, but with that torn ACL, I don't have confidence in that thing holding up. Hamaker with a quiet third, but we know him; he's bound to hit the deck. Bennett, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe he's going to be the Cole Davies of the 250 East. I mean, we'll see how it goes. Tom Vial, quiet there. Hymus, really quiet sixth, but yeah, I mean, I think Mac NC he looked great all day, right? He won his heat race. His starts are good. He looked good in the main event. I mean, he was right on Pierce Brown before Brown went down. He was honestly gonna probably pass him and win anyway. So I think it's perfectly set up for Anstey to kind of run away with it, especially if the starts are gonna be good. And he got the help he needed. The two biggest title threats finished 17th and 18th. Levi. I was hoping he's going to show us something this weekend, but finishing a ninth, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if that's where we see him week in and week out. We've all seen that if he can't get a start, he can't come through the pack, and he's just going to sit idle. But I agree with you. I think Max Anstey definitely has the edge right now, that 5 point lead, and yeah, he's not going to do anything dumb. I'm not anticipating a star bike blowing up on him. You know, yeah, I think it went as good as it possibly could have gone for him. All
Do you
right.
think Kitchen wins? Do you think Kitchen wins a race this year? If
I
I,
would say yeah, he's gonna win. So he's gonna
one,
get a good
one,
start, and he's gonna yeah, I would think so. Now, I mean, looking at this kitchen on the West Coast, I mean, I don't think he's hanging with Deegan and Juju from what I saw. Like I said, it's tough with this Tampa track. We didn't really get to see him open it up. Detroit, I think, is going to give us a much better idea. But yeah, just a very quiet night out of kitchen. Just yeah, I just wasn't really impressed. Um, but yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
he
other than that, we talked about Voling, the DNF. That's a bummer to start there. Um, but yeah, I mean, two of these titles already getting shaken up. Right after round one.
yeah he had three wins last year, two of them triple crown for Kitchen.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
it,
Now, time to get into the good stuff here. 450 main. My goodness. There was
oh
so
why
much going on. Obviously, Mookie gets the win. Sexton throws it away. We thought Sexton maybe had it figured out. He didn't. Eli rolling around in 17th. Roxon with a DNF. I mean, there are so much going on that I don't want to say it took anything away from Mookie's win, but there is so much stuff going on in this 450 main event, Justin.
Yeah, all I could describe this main event is shit show. That's, I mean, I feel like every second you turn your head, something was happening. Uh, Mookie, congrats. First brothers to win a Supercross, Malcolm and James. I think that's really cool. I didn't think it was going to be them. I thought Hunter was going to win one before Mookie, and the Lawrences were going to take the first brothers. But it's cool to see, the Stewart brothers on top of the Lawrences. Um, Tomac, um, I'm really nervous he's not gonna be ready for Detroit. I saw some videos of him going through the whoops, and you could see him lifting his left foot off of the peg, going through the whoops to try to keep pressure off of it. And I don't think that's a good sign at all. Uh, Roxon, you got to get through those lappers quicker. Stan was another factor. Um,
So
you
let's
know,
touch up on that because I know we have mixed opinions. To me, that lapper needs to get out of the way. You watched the video over and over again. He was in the middle of the fucking track when Roxy was coming through, blue flags waving, cut to the inside, get out of the way. But he was dead nuts in the middle of that track while, Roxon's trying to, I think he was going for third or fourth at that time.
he just got passed by Webb, right?
You got to give him room. Like you can't be riding down the middle if you know you're getting laps at.
Hands got to get out of the way, but Roxon, I mean, you also got to think as a racer, these lappers really don't give a fuck.
Bro,
I mean,
That's a
they have
problem.
not given a fuck, and that's the problem. Yeah, exactly,
hold on.
that's a problem. But as being a leader, you got to know, hey, we're in the stand, anything can happen. You got to be on your toes and watch out for what's coming. Like, I can almost put 50-50 blame on both of them. Yes, Han needs to get the fuck out of the way, but Kenny, you got to be prepared at any moment someone's going zigzag, because Kenny, you're going zigzag and you're one of the best in
If he's on the very far
world.
edge of the track, Kenny's not touching him. Kenny didn't even touch the 114 guy on the right of him. That was even closer. He
I
ended up
said
hitting hand
50-50.
and
It's
knocked him
both of
into
them.
it. Like,
Bro,
It's both of them.
if
It's both of them.
hold
Shit
on,
happens.
hold on.
You gotta be smart.
Listen to this, dude. Listen to what you're saying right here. You're going into the gnarliest sand section we've seen all year, right? You want
Yep.
Kenny to slow down and wait for these guys to get out of the way? No, fuck no. He's hauling ass. I'll tell you right now, if Kenny and I forget who was the other dude.
And
No,
and
not
who crashed into him?
this
7-Eleven.
wasn't it Tristan Lane?
Tristan Lane.
Tristan
Yeah,
Lane.
Tristan Lane.
If Kenny and Tristan Lane aren't in that exact spot, fucking Hand is going across the track 7 miles that way, blowing into the fucking stadium because that's how far across he came over. There's no shot that any of that is on Ken Roxon whatsoever. He splits down the middle of them, and that dude came out of fucking left field and just clobbered him. There's no
And
shot.
Anderson touched up on it in the post race conferences. Anderson was right behind him, and they complained about the lappers. And
I think
yeah, I mean, shout out to Tristan Lane. See, I think he got stabbed by freaking Roxon's clutch lever or something like that.
He broke it. He broke his Roxon's clutch lever with his arm.
That's
He's
gnarly.
lucky it didn't go through his arm.
That would have been cool.
Dude, okay, so also, I'm pretty sure the entire nation was screaming, or whoever was watching that fucking race was screaming at lappers the entire time, dude. It was brutal.
It was bad.
Yeah, but
Well,
that's what you get. That's what you get when you put fucking 4 feet deep of quicksand. I
I
mean,
get it,
that's what you're gonna get.
and
They lapped up to like 10th place.
I
Yeah.
understand, but you also gotta understand these are the fucking top guys in the world racing Supercross right here.
Yeah, and they're getting lapped. That's what I'm
understand
saying.
that. But what I'm saying is that fight for third place is entirely way more important than that fight for 18th place, which is what I'm pretty sure they were in, right? So
Yep.
get the fuck out of the way is what I'm saying. You see the blue
Yeah, I
flags?
mean, Han gets all the way over. I mean, he went dead nuts center. I mean, Roxon was, I know he saw Roxon railing the outside of that turn, but Han, you got to get to the inside and get out of the way, let these guys get through. You know you're going to see that blue flag, but I don't know. See, what do you do with the lap race? Webb kind of in the post race. Webb said, "Hey, penalize these guys. Like they can't make up any ground. They can't make any passes with the blue flag out. Otherwise,
Yeah,
they're
I mean
going to get points." But I mean,
it's
this
always
track was obviously way worse than normal.
yeah, and it's always been an issue on. I mean, what do you want them to do? Cut the field down to 5 and just fucking have them race the 5 guys? I mean, there's so many different ways you can look at it. Like when you see one of these gnarly ass tracks, just like a mud track, you know, I don't know. You're gonna get it. You gotta expect it. Everyone's got to deal with it. They went into that corner like 3, almost 4 bikes wide. They got Tristan Lane, Cooper Webb, who was the one that got hit? Hand, and then Roxon right behind him. Hand clearly cut down. Yeah, he went down the center of the lane, but he clearly cut down in the corner,
Mm-hmm.
trying to give Tristan Lane and Cooper Webb room. And Roxon fucking hit the sand and shot over right into Hand.
Shoots left. He shoots
Straight
left.
into Hand.
I didn't see that.
Smoked into the side of and smoked right into the side of Hand. I mean, I get it, yeah, but what do you want him to do? I mean, I don't know. We have a buddy that made a comment like, "Hey, once you go a lap down, they fucking yank you off the track." Like that'd be. I mean, hey, I'm up for that. Like, if you go a lap down, get the fuck off. Your time's
Yeah,
up.
but what you're gonna yank Eli Tomac off the track this
Yeah,
weekend?
you go a lap down.
yeah.
You go
Hey,
you go a lap down, yank them off the track, and they're not a problem. But when
Yeah.
you do that, right? When do you do it? Does the first guy in first place have to deal with a lapper, and then no one else does? Like that creates a problem there. Obviously, like, do you limit the field to 15 instead of 22? Like, I don't know. There's I don't know what you do, but it's like everyone had to deal with it, and when those tracks are gnarly as hell like that, like, you have to expect it. And I get it. I mean, that was a difficult situation there, and we've all seen, the Dean Wilson situation where I don't know, I think Kenny ran into the back of Dean Wilson and almost ate shit, or whoever, Sexton or whoever it was. But like, I think that there's some boneheaded moves, and I'm not saying Hand was like completely not in the wrong, but I'm not blaming Hand for that. Like, they were fucking 4 bikes deep in that corner. He clearly cuts down in the corner, and Kenny fucking T-bones him in the side.
Okay, my only thing was they were going on like a half a lap of them getting blue flag waved at each other. Like, get out.
So what do you want him to stop?
No, but you gotta pull over at some, like, not pull over, but like those
Go to the side of the track. Yeah, he cut down the corner. That's great, but then he goes straight down the fucking middle of a sand section. Like, what are you gonna do? Like you said, Kenny went through it, and Tristan Lane on the right, Roxon passed him no problem, and he was closer than that. But Hand in the fucking dead nuts in the middle. I mean, there's no reason Hand he couldn't cut down and even go even more left to the inside and hug the hay bales. But yeah, I mean, it sucks because once again, Roxon was riding great, but we already have Jet out. Hunter's out. He wasn't really in the title hunt, but now Roxon's title hunt is basically ruined too because of that, because the chain ends up breaking off from it, and it just sucks. We talk about this, how another great season, but it's getting ruined by these stupid injuries, or in this case, a DNF. Because of a collision with a lapper, and it's just all right. Well, there goes another title contender, and now it's a 2-man race.
The other thing I want to bring up about this too is Suzuki, get your fucking boy a button. We all saw him sitting there kicking that pig, dude.
It didn't matter.
Like,
His chain was off.
I
His chain was off.
I understand that, but dude, it's just frustrating watching him being the only guy out there kicking.
Well, I think it's because it was still in gear. He
was
couldn't
in
get
gear,
it in
yeah.
neutral. Yeah.
I think he thought it was in neutral.
Yeah.
Still,
But
get your boy a fucking button, dude.
Hey,
Yeah,
he was stoked not having it. He loves the feel of the Kickstarter.
yeah.
Whatever.
All right, and we're gonna let CJ cool down a little bit, but Zach, I'm gonna go straight to you. Mookie gets the win. It's awesome. I think we all agree that he was gonna catch Sexton regardless if Sexton hit the deck or not. He was unreal in the whoops, but I don't know. What is this with Mookie? Is this a fluke? Everything fell his way, or is this a turning of the table where Mookie? We're gonna see him on the podium every weekend. We're gonna see him win a couple more times. What is this? What are we gonna get from Mookie going forward?
You know, I'll. It's been a long time coming for the dude to get a win, right? I'm super pumped that it's the Stewart brothers to get that both brothers to get a win in the Supercross in the Premier Supercross class. He was definitely the fastest dude on the track that night, right? But we're talking 1 for 109. Okay, like I
Only
don't
as good
think
as your last race, baby.
I don't think we see it again anytime soon.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from him because he was for sure the fastest guy. He's gonna pass Sexton regardless if Sexton ain't shit in the whoops. He closed an early gap. He was gonna pass him, and congrats to the dude. Like, it's been a super long time coming. He was stoked. Everyone was stoked for him. But I just don't see it happening anytime soon again.
How about you, Justin? What do you think of this Mookie? Is this a
Uh,
new Mookie that we're gonna see, or is this a
I don't think it's a new Mookie. I think Mookie's kind of always had that. He's always showed promise in qualifying. He's never really been able to put it together for a full 20 minutes in a main event. I think last year, and when he made that switch to Husky, really set him back because I believe if he would have stayed on that Yamaha, I think the way he was progressing was really good. I mean, when he was on that Yamaha, he was the fastest guy through the whoops. And him going to that Husky, you could tell he struggled. And that was really Mookie's speed was the whoops. He could dominate the whoops, and that's huge in Supercross. But like this year, he looks good. He's putting it together. But I don't really
how
see
can
him
you say
winning
he's
again.
putting it
I don't
together?
see.
He's been battling for 10th place until this past
He got
Saturday.
one
He's just
tenth place.
he's
He's
been
got
consistent.
two.
Mookie normally is not really always a top 10 guy. He's had 15, blah blah blah, or he's crashing, getting hurt. He stayed off the ground most of the time, and I think this is his only win he maybe gets in his career. I can see. I mean, with the way the field's kind of getting hurt, I can see him maybe getting one other podium this year. But I don't think we really see anything else unless we see like 4 whoop sections out there on the track, and Mookie can just blitz them all. But I think this is his only win of his career.
I think he has what 4 podiums his whole 450 career.
Yeah, but I mean, Christian, we can compare him to whoever you want to compare who's had long careers and have only had one win. Sebastian Tortelli's got one win. Josh Grant's got one win.
I'm just
I
saying.
mean,
I'm just saying 4 podiums in total. Like, there's been year after year where guys have been hurt and shit like that. Like, there's no, you can't say that because these guys are out he's gonna get it. He's still getting beat by Justin Cooper and Hunter Lawrence.
Factory champion
Mhm.
Justin Cooper.
What's that?
Factory Yamaha champion Justin Cooper. Yeah.
Whatever, dude.
Hey,
We look
you know
like
what, CJ? We're gonna get to you because I can see you. You're just ready to go. But I mean,
The hate is
10th
real.
it's
10th at Anaheim 1, 7th at San Diego, 9th at Anaheim 2, 10th at Glendale.
Read the
You
guys beating him.
go back to
Read
last
off the
year.
names beating him.
Hunter
Where do
Lawrence.
you want to go? Glendale?
Read off the
Glendale,
names that
he's
beat him.
Aaron Plessinger, Justin Hill, Hunter Lawrence, Jason. Even Jet beat him,
He
and he
crashed
didn't
in
even finish a
Glendale.
race.
He crashed in Glendale after beating half the guys he just listed.
Okay, we can
hey,
go
but
back
all those
to
guys,
Anaheim 1.
all these guys are 250 champs, and all on factory
Anaheim 1.
rides.
Guess what? He
So
beat Malcolm, Aaron Plessinger, Justin Hill, Justin Cooper, Justin Barsha. I mean,
250 champ, 250 champ, 250 champ.
nothing told us that Mookie was going to podium at all this season. Even looking at last year, it was even
I'm not
worse.
saying, and you can run the tapes back. I never said he's going to podium or he's going to win. I'm saying he's putting in a good season. He's getting beat by guys that all have a fucking title, 450 title. He's 6th place in points, and the only
AP
person
doesn't
ahead
have
of
a
him,
title.
Justin
Barsha,
Barsha
AP's in
doesn't
like
have a title.
65th
AP
place
doesn't
in
have a
points.
title.
yeah.
Where are they
Now,
at in points? Where are they at
right
in points?
behind him. We're right
They're
behind him without
behind
winning.
him. There we go. That's what I
Uh,
like to hear, baby.
to me, it was like a picture that throws a no hitter. Right, everything was working for him. He rode out of his freaking mind. The field was struggling with his track. He stepped up to the plate, and
Hey, he
he
just didn't have any.
absolutely
He
he
didn't have any
absolutely
shitty
crushed it.
batters to face, though. He did it all himself.
He absolutely crushed it. But to me, I just don't see this rolling into the rest of the season. CJ, where are you at?
I got the Mookie fit tonight for Mookie. I know we look like twins. I'm all about it, dude. I'm all in on Mookie. I've been a diehard JS7 fan my entire life. I fucking love the dude. I love the brothers. I love the show. I love everything that the Stewarts are about. And I think he's ripping this year. I said it on last pod. I think that he's ripping. I think he's having a good season. I think he looked good in Glendale when I saw him in person riding. I mean, he had some unfortunate, that's what he does. He's a Stewart. They hit the deck. That's been his problem his whole career. This isn't the first time he's been the fastest guy on the track. He's been the fastest guy on the track several times. He just hits the deck. He's Stewart's brother. And that's unfortunate. I mean, we've seen it time and time again with his brother, and that's he has that. I don't know what it is, but he has that same mentality or that same. I don't know if they ride on the ragged edge, but he hits the ground more times than he needs to. But dude, that was fucking sick. I mean, you're talking about to
Yep.
me, it was an embarrassing ride for Chase Sexton. Chase Sexton, basically every single guy that you have to beat is back at their hotel fucking playing video games. You pull the whole shot. You're like 4 seconds ahead. At one point, you're 8 seconds ahead of Mookie, who's back in like 8th place. And you get ran down by a no win, do nothing, can't get top 10, fucking Husqvarna
You're
rider
saying it,
runs
brother?
your ass down and fucking passes you and you choke. I don't know, man. Like I don't know what's going on with Sexton mentally, but like I don't think Sexton is a champion mentally. Like he's lucked into some bullshit, and I think he's gonna luck into another title this year, unfortunately. But it just sucks to see like I don't know what it is, but that dude he if you put an ounce of pressure on that guy, he fucking
I
shatters.
I think he knew Mookie was coming. I think he heard the crowd, and usually to him, I think if it's Eli Tomac, if it's Jet, and they're cruising through, Sexton might be like, you know what, these guys are fucking ripping. I'm not going to push it. To me, I think it was, oh, it's just Mookie. I beat this guy 99 out of 100 times. I'm going to push it a little bit harder because I can't let this guy beat me, and he ends up hitting the deck. But
He looked
yeah,
sorry through the whoops though, too. Like I don't know, he looked terrible through the whoops. He almost crashed 3 times before he did crash. And
yeah.
but anyway, hats off to Mookie, dude. That dude was passing guys that have championships. He was passing Ken Roxon. I mean, he went by Roxon into that sand. I don't think Roxon even knew he was there. He was there and gone, and Roxon was like, "Was that fucking lightning? Like, what was that?" I mean, he was gone. He went by Cooper Webb, fucking mad racecraft. He went by Cooper Webb like nothing. Dude, that was a hats off, insane ride in his hometown. Do I think that the track suited Malcolm? Yes. The gnarly ass sand, the whoop section that was finely set up to where you have to actually have some cojones to hit them instead of these like right out of the corner, everyone just triple, 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 and you can go the same speed. I don't know. I think it's hurting the sport. I think the whoop situation is hurting the sport. And I looked at the track map going into wherever we're going next week, and it's the same thing. It's a corner straight into some whoops. But I think that you give Malcolm a little bit of confidence. You take Eli Tomac out of the picture. You take Jet Lawrence out of the picture. He knows that he just straight up beat Sexton. Do I think he's going to go and beat Sexton straight up regularly? No. I think Malcolm is on a fucking cloud 9 high right now. He's probably just ripped like 6 4-pounders out of his pond back at home tonight. And I think he comes into this weekend. I think we see Malcolm back on the podium this weekend.
I think we see Malcolm in the dirt.
To me,
Haters hate. Haters hate,
it
baby.
was you can't. It was an awesome story to me. This was the Malcolm that everyone's been waiting for the last 10
Hey, and you
years,
got him
right?
and then you hate it.
We knew the talent was there. We're like, finally, it shows up when he's 32 years old. But the stars aligned. It was a great story. Of course, you got, JS7 in the booth calling it. He should have gotten his ass out of the booth and got down there with them. His whole family was there. I mean, everyone was stoked for Mookie to get this win. You can't take anything away from it. But
Who
Webb ends up getting a second, Anderson third. Really quiet for them. But yeah, Zach. I mean, I think I'm with you. This was a great moment for Mookie. To me, it falls in the same category as AP. AP won the perfect race Taylor for him. Mookie did the same,
No,
but
mud
I
race on
just don't
accident.
see it happen. I don't see it happening again. And a podium to me is it's still a stretch. You still got Roxon, you still got Webb, you still got Sexton, you still got Anderson that
Do
that
you
beat
two?
Malcolm.
I want it on the tapes. Do you two think Malcolm podiums again this year?
No,
Uh, no, statistically, no. I will also say, CJ, that you.
statistically no.
Oh well, fuck, dude. I mean, 4 podiums out of
Yes or
101
no?
races, dude. Like, come on.
What about not
There's,
statistically?
there's no way that this just awakens some beast in the guy that he's gonna come out and do it. Like, we've all seen him flying. I remember, I think it was like 4 years ago, Glendale, when he broke his femur. Dude was absolutely flying, fastest dude out there, and he breaks his femur. So I think
Well, that's what I said. He's a steward. That's what they do.
well,
I mean,
I
James did
understand
the
that,
same
but I'm
thing.
just saying that
So you're saying he's just
I
going to
don't
crash
think
every
he's
time he
doing them.
rides ever again?
Dude.
No, I think
But
he's
to
going to go
say
back to
he's
not
gonna
getting good
podium and
starts.
do all this kind of stuff, like, we've been waiting on it for years, and it's not happened yet. So
I'm
that
riding
being
with him.
said, too, Texan, you say he's gonna luck into another championship, but he's the only guy this year with 2 wins, and that's with Tomac, with all these dudes in there. So you got to give him some credit as far as that. It's
He didn't even win. He didn't even win a race at the Triple
I
Crown,
don't
and if
care.
He
Jet
won.
didn't get
It doesn't
hurt,
matter.
Jet may have won
Hey,
that.
It doesn't
didn't
matter. He
matter.
still fucking won
Hey,
the overall.
I just looked it up. I think Sexton's only really, if Sexton wins this year, 3 of Sexton's 4 Supercross titles between 250 and 450 were because most of the competition got hurt. 2019, Forkner won five races, and
And then what
Sexton won
happened?
1, and it
And
was the
then
one that Forkner
and then
got
what
hurt.
happened?
So
Exactly.
the leader got hurt. Tomac gets hurt.
So
This
what?
year,
So if someone
Tomac
gets
and Jet
hurt,
get hurt.
so what? If a top guy gets hurt, you're just supposed to, hey, we're going to cancel the title? Like, I'm
No
sorry,
shit.
but it's part of it.
We're 5
No,
races
doesn't
but I mean,
matter.
come on, dude. That you get lucked out. I mean, Forkner was up so many points, 5
And then he
wins
hit
in
the
a
deck.
250 class, and he hit the deck. Dude, that's a luck. You might
Don't
as well fucking
crash.
just give it on a servant platter. Like,
Don't
dude,
My
come
thing
crash.
is,
on.
it's
Sexton's
fine. I
still going
can't.
to win 5-6 more races
Like,
this
yeah,
year.
I can't.
he
Easily.
survived, but he wasn't the best guy that year. He survived, but he wasn't the best.
But
I
okay,
can't take.
but
I can't take anything
he's
away.
the only guy with 2 wins. He's the only
Yeah.
guy with 2 wins, and
He's
that's
been the
with
most
everyone
consistent
in
out
the
of
field.
everyone until this weekend. And even a 5th is still, that's his first, 5th place? And Tomac had, 4 of them already this
Yeah.
year?
Yeah, he should have had a 3rd win, but he fucking choked on he got
My
choked
thing
on
is, you
Mookie's
can't.
And he
You
dick.
can't
still has
take.
the points lead.
I can't take anything away from Sexton. It's not he can't do anything about the guys crashing or getting hurt. That's fine. But my thing is, if you like, there's these guys that have the championship mentality. Like there's the Eli's, the Ryan Villapotos, the Carmichaels, the Stewarts, the Chad Reeds, the
The
Jet
dog.
Lawrences,
Hey,
the guys that when they
is
show
Cooper
up,
Webb not racing right now? Is Cooper Webb not out on the track?
he's
This
not going to.
dog of this, multi Supercross champion, is Cooper Webb not racing against Sexton right
He's
Well,
now?
off
no,
to
hold
one
on.
of the
No,
best
I will
starts
say
of
He just
his
beat
career.
Sexton.
And
Cooper
he's still
Webb.
down 5 points to Sexton.
Cooper Webb, I've not seen him this close to the title fight this early in a long time. So
That's a problem. That's a
Ever. I
problem.
don't think he's ever been
Because
this close.
that's dangerous. That's
it
dangerous.
is, but at the same time, with all those dudes in there, Sexton has had the red plate more than anyone else, and that's
Still
also a
does.
thing that you got to take into consideration. Like, you can't knock the guy and say that, oh, well, fucking if Jet was here, oh, if Eli was here, but he's had the red plate, multiple fucking weekends, and
Yeah.
How
And
many wins do you think he throws away this year?
No one's saying that Sexton's the most dominant champion or nothing like that. But, I mean, we're looking at it right now. I mean, finishing the races and staying healthy is part of it. I mean, Eli most likely out, Jet's out, Hunter already misses a race, Roxon gets a DNF. Webb hasn't been stellar. He ended up fighting to get this 2nd place, but I mean, he's still 5 points down, and Webb hasn't looked great either. He had one incredible ride at Glendale when he won that heat, but he hasn't won a main event yet.
Yeah, I mean, Cooper Webb is never good at the beginning of the year. I think might be his best start to a season ever. So I mean, yeah, it's hard to count him out. What I'm saying about Sexton, I'm not taking anything away from Sexton, is he doesn't have that dog mentality where he's the man. Like he goes out there and he should be dominating these guys. These guys that he's racing against are fucking nobodies if you're comparing champions. I mean, he should. You're telling me that if Chad Reed would have wrecked, that Ricky Carmichael would have only won a couple of the races? Fuck no. He would have waxed those dudes and then sat there and waited for him at the finish line drinking a Gatorade. And Sexton's struggling to beat him.
Do you think
I
Chase
don't know. I just
Sexton?
want to see a dominant version of Sexton, and he just fails to do it time and time again.
Chase Sexton reminds me of almost like a Kevin Windham. He's always there, but he's not the guy that's winning the most races in this season. You know, he would be runner up if they didn't get it hurt. Like if you look at Windham, all the years he's second place, you know, in all these titles, but he was racing RC. And, you know, if RC got hurt, you know, wow, it's Wyndham's title. You know, that's almost what reminds me of Sexton with like Tomac getting hurt, Jay getting hurt. Like it just reminds me of a K-Dub, kind of a K-Dub comparison almost. He just,
What do the points look like right now? I haven't even looked.
it's five
Sexton's up
point.
5.
On who?
It's
Cooper Webb.
on
Webb?
Webb, which is his that's scary because Webb. I mean, that's one race he can make that up easy. Especially with Sexton coming into a sand turn before the finish. I guarantee Sexton goes down at least once in section this weekend.
I mean, we'll see. I thought Sexton, had it figured out. We haven't seen this, the bobble. Yeah, he had bad in San Diego, but I think he was rattled when he almost got landed on. But yeah, this one, I think everyone, all Sexton fans just saw this, were like, God, like not again. Like even if Malcolm passes him, you know what? So be it. That track, it didn't mess with Sexton, obviously, but I don't know. I still think Sexton, he's still going to put up the fastest lap. I still think he's gonna, rifle off, 5, 6, 7 wins. He's right now. You can't tell me that Sexton isn't the fastest guy on the track.
Not this
He
weekend.
is. No, not this weekend, but out of the entire group, he's the fastest out there. Tomac's out of the picture, Jet's out of the picture, but you can't tell me that Webb is faster than Sexton. And once again, it's going to come down to Sexton's his own worst enemy. Is he going to be able to finish off these races? Or they're going to keep hitting the deck. But that's all fine and Daniel. Yeah, it's Webb's greatest start to the season, but you look at it, Sexton has been far from perfect, and he's still going into this with a 5-point lead, and you just think like he's going to get it figured out here. And yeah, we're getting into some of these tracks that with Webb we thought this was going to be tailor made for him, and I even picked him to win and. Said I think he get an 8th place start, and he wasn't beating Sexton if Sexton didn't break his front, his front disc. He lost 5 positions in half a lap because of his bike. If his bike stays in one piece, Sexton still gets in second place and extends that points lead to 13, 14, 15. Now, like I said,
Well,
we
if you
can't.
don't crash, you'd be
It's all
fine.
what is, right? But yeah, I don't know. To me, it's still Sexton's title. Yeah, it's not flashy, it's not dominant, but at the end of the day, we praise Jason Anderson. He had the lowest points total of a Supercross champion ever, but we still give him the credit. Oh, he's a badass Supercross champion. But yeah, I mean, I don't know the Sexton thing. To me, it's going to be interesting to see. Webb looks great, but I still want to see Webb win one. Right, I want to see they can get it done, and I'm not counting a triple crown race. Um, to me. But Zach, what about you? Is this Sexton's title,
It's
to run away with now, or
no, I don't think he runs away with it. I mean, like I said, Cooper's never been this close this early, and I think it's gonna be a fight between the two of them. I don't really see anyone else, pushing up front like Tomac. I think I saw a post from him today. It says he's gonna try his best to be there next weekend, do whatever he can to get on the gate. But I think he's just too far back, and if his knee's really that hurt, like from the way he rode this weekend, he's out of it. So I really think Kenny getting murdered by that lapper, he's out of it. I really just I don't know. I think it's a two fight right now, and we're gonna see who comes away with it.
but one thing, Justin, I will say that this 450 class has told us that yeah, Roxon is 18 back, but I can't say he's out of it. We just saw Sexton hit the deck. Who knows? He lands a little bit harder. He gets the DNF. Now it closes up. We've seen Webb. I think it was last year. He ended up crashing. Late in the season. He got a DNF. Like he's 18 points back, but we know Sexton's been known to kind of hit the deck. Webb, he's done it too. I mean, remember in Dallas a few years back, cartwheeled off onto the side of the track. I mean, the season is so long. It's not a 250 title that we still have 13 races to go.
He's
Anything can happen. These top two,
Yeah,
Webb and Sexton could both go down and get a DNF, and here we are right back into a title fight.
yeah. If you're looking at the points right now, I mean, you got Sexton at 101, Webb at 96, Anderson at 84, Roxon at 83, and Tomac at 80, and Mookie at 77. If
Mookie.
Sexton, if Sexton or Webb have any type of struggles, they have two races, a DNF possibly. I mean, there could be a 5-rider battle, with just the way everything's been. Who knows? I mean, it seems like every race this year, something crazy happens, something wild happens. So, I mean, this year is just, what is going to be the surprise of the night? What's going to happen that's going to shock everything? I just see Sexton. I think Sexton's going to throw away at least 2 more wins in the lead just because he struggles to stay out front and handle the pressure. And with Webb only being 5 points down, and we're going to pretty much Webb's cup of tea, that's dangerous for all these guys. I think this is now Webb's title with Tomac finishing 18th. I think I'd really be surprised if Tomac finishes the Supercross season. It sucks to say, but I mean, we may have, like CJ said, is this Tomac's last race? I mean, I know he says he wants to line up for Detroit, but is he getting an MRI this week to confirm to see if anything? Is he too scared to get an MRI, because he doesn't want to, maybe in the back of his head, he's like, yeah, that thing's torn, but I don't want the confirmation because if I get it, they're going to try to keep me from racing. But I think this is Webb's title now. I think Webb's got that dog in him, and like CJ said, Sexton just doesn't prove to have that dog in him. Webb's got that dog. He'll chase you down, and he's never gonna stop quitting.
Hasn't done it
So,
yet.
hey, like KB said, this is like one of his best starts ever. So, if you got to put Webb on that, Webb on a Yamaha 250 was a dog. He's on a Yamaha again. Best start, to Supercross
I
series for
think
him.
this is
I gotta see
Sexton.
Webb win. I gotta see Webb win a main event before I'm like, yeah, he's in, he's ready to go. I mean, we're this
It's
5 rounds
coming.
in, 6 rounds in. I'm like, hey, like let's I
Get
want
your
to see him. I
popcorn
want to see him
ready.
win. I'm ready for it, But
I think I mean I know you guys are saying that Sexton's like having a tough start. I think this is the best start that we could have seen out of Sexton. I think that he is off to the best start that I think if you told him he was going to be in this situation after Tampa, he would have given you his bank account. I think this is the best start that Sexton could have ever imagined. And I think we've seen the best of Sexton. I don't think he's not going to win anymore. He's going to win, but I don't think we've seen the baubles that we're going to see out of Sexton. I don't know. I think that I think he's had a pretty flawless start to the season. Besides this bauble where Mookie scared the shit out of him, but yeah, I don't know. I think Cooper Webb gets it done. I think Sexton unfortunately is gonna do what Sexton does, and he lets these guys in. I mean, he lets these guys see that he can crumble and that he can break. And dude, you can't let Cooper Webb inside your brain at all, or even think that you have a weakness. And Cooper Webb is we've all seen Cooper Webb on the East Coast. Cooper Webb is he's not going to go out there and show blistering speed, but he's going to have that racecraft. He's going to start cutting down. He's going to start taking different lines, and next thing you know, when the white flag comes out, guess who's knocking on the door and taking your front wheel out? Cooper Webb, and he snipes your ass over the finish line.
yeah, so let's jump into it. So the 450 championship. So we kind of touched on it. Section has a 5 point lead on Webb. Roxon 18 back, Tomac 21 back. I'm sorry, I'm not throwing Anderson into the title fight. I'm not throwing Mookie into the title fight. But CG, you kind of said it. You're riding with Webb. You think he's gonna stake this title from Sexton.
Yeah, I think we see 3-time Cooper Webb 450 champ.
How about you,
Yep.
Zach? Where are you at?
It's very close between the two. I think we see a dogfight down in the end. I think Sexton pulls it off. I'll say it.
How about you, Justin?
I mean, after Tomac went out, seeing how Webb's only 5 points down, and we haven't even seen the best Webb at. I don't think we've seen nearly like anything near the close of Webb yet this year.
The
I haven't
first
been
race at
like,
Glendale was the best Webb we've seen in a long time.
yeah, but I'm talking about like for a full main, like a actual regular main event. And I mean, if he gets clicking on East Coast, I mean, he could run away with this thing. Sexton in the rut, deep stuff. He's just gonna make those mental mistakes, and I think Webb's gonna take this title. I'm now gonna have to put $50 on Webb to win to cover fucking Tomac blowing my $50
Bro,
bet for him to win the title.
I don't think though like Sexton has at least 6 more wins in him, right?
Yeah.
He throws away. Sexton's gonna throw 2 more wins away while leading. He's just gonna watch the front or crash, and I don't know how I can put money on it, but I say 2 wins Sexton throws away while leading just because of pressure, or Sexton's gonna
Well, we
Sexton.
still don't have a Webb win this year, so I mean,
So you think
But I
Sexton
think
has
Webb,
8 wins?
no,
do what?
No way.
What, he's already
No
got
way.
2? He's got to get 6 more? Yeah. He's going to
no,
I
win
think
Daytona.
Sexton can get 8 wins for sure.
Yeah. I have Sexton winning this weekend. The one thing Sexton does is bounce back. You go back, anytime he hits the deck, the very next race he comes out, he fucking smokes everyone.
Sexton starts better than Cooper Webb. So,
That was Sexton's biggest problem last year. Starts are trash, and his starts have been awesome. And if anything,
but
Webb's starts haven't been good.
yeah,
Sexton hasn't really proved to move up through the field. He had that one race, but other than that, he
Who
hasn't really
cares?
moved
Who
up the
cares? You got to
field.
move up the field if you're sitting up at the front.
Cooper Webb doesn't go.
I can't say Webb
I
has.
mean, he got hunted down by Malcolm Stewart.
So did Webb.
Mookie's sick, but
Webb did too,
I
and he didn't
mean,
crash.
Malcolm Stewart.
He didn't get the whole
start on the
start.
track this weekend. There's no shot that dude, you can say, oh, he got hunted down by Malcolm. Webb got hunted down. Roxon got hunted down. Fucking Sexton got hunted down. Malcolm
Anderson,
started in 6th
everyone.
place and he still wins that race. He was fucking.
You sound like you love Malcolm right now, Zach.
I'm saying facts, bro. He's the
I'm
fastest
just
dude out
kidding.
there on the fucking track. Right?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I think he lapped Eli Tomac twice.
Yeah, Tomac should have just. I mean, yeah,
But
back to the lapper thing. You just got to pull off. If you get more laps, more than one lap, get the hell off the track.
yeah, I don't know. I'm riding with Sexton. I think he's gonna do. I think he's gonna get the great starts. He's gonna get out to those leads, and to me, I think the beginning of the season is a truer version of the Sexton we're gonna get versus what we saw this past. We've talked about it, right? Tampa was a gnarly ass track, right? To be honest, it's probably gonna be the most gnarly track that we see for the rest of the season, right? So to me, I think
No.
Sexton's going to get some starts. I think he's going to be like this, but I think he's going to be able to log in solid laps just like he did at Anaheim 1, where he just kind of, just solid laps, kind of took off and he just did it. So if anything, I don't think Tampa is showing me what Sexton we're going to get. I'm looking at the first 4 rounds of him being consistent, not pushing the envelope and just logging solid rides. But
You think
it's going to be
Tampa?
interesting.
You think Tampa was the gnarliest track we're gonna see?
Yeah.
It was brutal.
You're
No
not going to see
way.
you're not
No
going to see
way.
another sand
That's
section like that.
sand section, yes, but if
Where?
once we get what do we got? What
Detroit
tracks do
this
we have
weekend.
coming up? Dude, these tracks are gonna get so soft. Indianapolis is gonna be deep, rotted, just gnarly.
It's
Tampa
going to
was
be
not
for
that
everyone.
deep.
It's
It was
going to be short.
shiny.
There's going to be nothing to separate anyone.
Yeah,
It's just going to be doing
but
just 30 laps.
gnarliness, like rut wise, track breaking down. I mean, we got East Rutherford's always deep. Let's see, East Rutherford, Foxborough's gonna be deep. Indy's always deep. Detroit normally gets deep.
Okay, so there you go.
Arlington's gonna be clay. Birmingham
So
probably clay.
Foxborough, Sexton got a
Seattle.
second. Seattle, Sexton got a second. Keep throwing them out there.
Let's go. East
Detroit,
Rutherford.
Detroit last year, Sexton got second.
Yeah,
He's
And that
gonna
was
get
the
everyone
first
got
second
year
this
on the
second.
weekend.
KTM.
Yeah,
That
it's
was the
gonna
first
get
year on the
second too.
KTM. Like, I don't know.
What do
Like,
you think?
I think he's going to do. I mean, we saw him ride this bike in outdoors. He can ride it when it's rough, and I don't know. I think Sexton's going to be. He's going to be. You just threw out all those. Oh, it's rough. He's going to struggle. He's going to struggle. Well, I mean, second to Detroit last year. second in Seattle, third at Indy, second at Foxborough, second in Philadelphia. I mean, he's shown that he can ride those dirty tracks and survive.
Yeah,
But
but you
hey,
know who won? Hey, you know who won Foxborough last year? And you know who won Seattle?
who?
Cooper Webb. Cooper Webb.
Well, hey, we'll see, right? We'll see. That's what I said. I want to see Cooper Webb win one. I don't want to see a triple crown. I want to see him get out there and win a full main event. And to be honest, he hasn't been close this year.
Hey, tune in this weekend, baby. Detroit is going to get gnarly.
Hey, 8 Mile, baby.
But all right, so we got all of our fantasy picks, championship picks. Two are riding Webb. Two are riding Sexton. It's going to be really, really good. And like I said, we're going to see who can keep it on two wheels the longest. But going into the Detroit track layout, honestly, kind of similar to what we saw in Tampa. It's another right-hand turn. It is a lot longer of a start. There's still another sand corner, but other than that, CJ, I mean, nothing really stood out to me in this. I mean, I think Detroit is going to be another small, kind of a small layout, which I'm kind of bummed because we talked about at the beginning of this year. They did a lot of crossing back and forth on the starting straight, and it opened up more 180 turns. And this is two tracks on the east where they're not doing it, and I just feel like they're just asking for just kind of just basic tracks that are just going to be one line, and there's not going to be any separation.
Yeah, Detroit though, that the dirt's normally soft and it normally gets pretty gnarly. And the whoops coming out of the corner, I think they're going to start they'll get chewed up, they'll get a line through them. You'll see Cooper
Mm-hmm.
jumping through them. I think it'll be good racing. Yeah, I didn't love the track either. I would like to see more Glendale style tracks. But dude, I don't know. I think that Sexton's in his own head, and I think that Cooper knows. I mean, you saw the announce. I don't know who it was. Someone was asking Sexton, like, "Hey, with Jet out, does that change your opinion on what's going on for the championship or whatever?" And it seemed like he was trying to convince himself that it didn't affect him for the championship. No, it doesn't affect anything. Everything's still business as usual. Blah blah blah. I felt like he was trying to convince himself that Jet not being there wasn't an issue. Every motherfucker knows that Jet not being there is a massive improvement to their odds.
Yep. And now
And
Tomac's out
now
too.
Tomac's gone. And dude, I don't know. Cooper's one of those dudes that like you give that dude a little bit of confidence, you let that guy in your head a little bit, and I think the one person that allows people inside their head more than anybody is fucking Chase Sexton. And I don't know. I think Cooper Webb gets it done this weekend. I don't think Chase Sexton. I'm not saying he's in a yard sale and break his leg. I think Cooper Webb gets it done, and I think that Malcolm's on the podium.
Hey. All right, Zach. How about
TJ,
how about you?
you may hit the joint too many times thinking Mookie podiums again this weekend.
All
All
right,
right, Zach.
hey,
How about you? Detroit track layout. Anything stand out? Who do you got for your 450? And then we'll circle back and we'll go to the 250.
Dude, I just think that
I'm just thinking about
it's
Mookie.
no, God no. It's a long start. Sexton's gonna get a better start. He's gonna knock it out, get it done, get his third win of the season. I just don't see Cooper Webb starting up front. Just based off what he's done this year so far. I think he's gonna be second.
All right.
He's back to 10th place, 9th place. And I think it's a KTM sweep of the top box this weekend. I think Vial gets it done this weekend too.
Dang. All right.
Yep.
I'm with you. I'm gonna say Sexton's gonna bounce back. That's something that he's always gonna, because like CJ said, right? He's a head case. He has to prove to himself that, hey, look, no, I can win. I'm gonna go win again. To me though, I'm going with RJ. I think RJ is gonna bounce back. I think he's been looking really good. So I expect him to bounce back and make a statement there. Justin, what about you? Who do you got? Detroit winner 450, 250.
450. I think I'm just gonna go Webb just because I think we're feeling our real first East Coast track. I think we're gonna see this track really break down. It's gonna be really soft. It's just gonna It's gonna be rough. I think it's gonna be one of our gnarlier. Looking at it, we have a really long rhythm section going across the whole length of the stadium. So that's gonna be cool to see the type of rhythms we have. I'm sure there's gonna be a quad in there, which would be cool to see. I think the sand section's gonna eat up Sexton. I think he's just gonna tuck his front in that sand section. That's gonna cause a problem. I think you got a Webb, Sexton, Roxon podium. It's gonna be the top three for 450. And then 250, I want to say RJ, but it all depends on his start. I think if RJ doesn't get a start, I think Anstey might win this. So RJ's got to get a start, even if it's just a top five start. I think if RJ gets a top five, I think RJ's going to be able to get through the pack. He proves that he can move through the pack. He ain't scared to push anyone out of his way. And the deficit he's in right now in points, he's going to saw everyone's front tire off, whether he has to or not, just because he's going to try to put them down in order to make them fall to get points. So I'm going RJ and Webb this weekend for the win.
All right, CJ, we know you got Webb. You called out Mookie for a podium. Who do you got for the 250? Who's going to step up this weekend?
Yeah, I think RJ's got something to prove. I think he's got to put it on the top of the box. I think he's fight or flight right now. I mean, this is his last year. He's got to get on a 450 next year. I think he's in, like I said, fight or flight, panic mode. I think that we see something spectacular out of him. But I also think Anstey is on the podium again.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see that as well, especially if these starts keep going. Well, all right, boys. Well, that wraps it up for Tampa, our recap here. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube. We are on Spotify. We're excited for this weekend, but we'll be back next Monday to recap Detroit. And then we're going to Arlington. I'll be there live, but that's it. Thanks for hopping on, boys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.